Great opportunity to be here today and talk a bit about what we do and answer some questions and learn from each other. So yeah, thanks guys, we really appreciate it. So we'll just whack my apron on. So just before we start, Liz gave away our secret, mate. I was going to wear on with our dish, but everyone knows now. So we're going to challenge the status quo. Brunch is very, very important in food service now, especially on the weekends. We're seeing lots and lots of people go out and, it's an opportunity to relax and enjoy some food at a convenient price point. And I'm thinking, you always see the bacon and the eggs, right? Stuff that, why don't we, beef, have a very important part in that role. So what we're going to do today, Kelly, is utilising a non-primal cut. We're going to cook a dish which I reckon would be a cracker for a cafe or a big retail commercial caterer in maybe an airport or something like that to replicate, and keep our product front and centre on menu. So we've heard from Adrian about actually eating less beef.
Get the kid on
menu, and that being quality. Well, that's not my mantra at MLA. I've got to make sure that we fight to hold our place. Protein's getting more expensive every day. We've got fierce competitors, and we've got a declining labour skill in commercial cookery. So we've got to make sure that we help all those big tier one accounts where they're not fortunate to have hatted chefs have success with our product, so we can keep it on time and time again. And that's exactly what we do, Kelly. Utilising the fantastic assets of MSA, 800,000 consumers, tried and tested. We work with those tier one accounts. So tier one and tier two, 25 to 100, and 100 right up to 950 across airlines, QSR, commercial caterers, QSRs, quick service restaurants, you name it, where they're aged care, all facets, food courts, all facets of people that, enjoy Australian beef, lamb, veal and goat on menu. So I'm going to get cooking, but meanwhile, we'll have a chat later on, but let's start with your butchery demonstration while I get started.
Let's do it. So Sammy's put out the challenge. So I think it's about breakfast. If you go to breakfast, you have that other protein. It's the P word. Not allowed to talk about that species group. We're not paid to do that. So the challenge is to get a breakfast item that is delicious and tasty and tender and juicy every time. And I just wanted to refer to, before I crack on here, I think Richo, this morning, we're talking about portion size, and I guess my role is the MSA component of what we're talking about here today. And when we talk about, I'd just like to tell everyone, Sammy, that if you didn't know that we've got the Eating Quality Prediction Model MSA has got 169, the current model has 169 cut by cook combinations. So when we talk about cut by cook combinations, we talk about all of the subprimal muscles in beef, so which I'm going to deal with in a moment. And I think the question was posed to Richo this morning. I'm not sure if he's here, but we're talking about portion size this morning, right, Sammy? And in fact, I think you may have even mentioned it.
Correct.
So what we know, ladies and gentlemen, is through all the consumer sensory testing, not only were it's kind of a bit of an argument, a debate for another day, but all of the subprimal muscles in a beef carcass have been eaten and tested across all of the cook methods. We have the big news is that, Sammy, we've got a brand new model coming out this very soon. We are super excited. It goes from 169 cut by cook combinations to 311. Yes, and that will include, Sammy, all of the stuff that we see in commercial cookery. It'll be sous vide, which is vacuum sealed in a hot water bath. We've got combi oven cooking. So we've asked consumers to do all of this sensory testing again, Sammy, to see if there's any variation between traditional roasting and combi oven roasting, etc., etc. And we've got some great outcomes. Anyway, on with the work.
Let's quickly, while you're about to start, mate, I've got this flat iron, so that comes from the oyster blade. So there's a bit of sinew in between. You're going to show them how to do that now. I'm just going to brush that. So I've got a time brush here, and I'll put a rubber band around it. So this is a really good one to have when you're doing your barbecue. Take it next level, especially when you're cooking over coals. I'll just dip that in my canola oil. And the reason I like using canola oil, Kelly, when I'm cooking steak is because I don't want the olive oil to overpower the beefy goodness of this wonderful Angus. And I'm getting my grill to hot temperature, and I'm resting that to room temperature so we get a nice sear when we cook it. Over to you, buddy.
Yeah, fantastic. So when Sammy and I go on the road and we talk to food service, we talk to them about things like this. So this is a clod or a blade. And we've got our two best friends here. We've got oyster blade here. Who has oyster blade at home? The poor man's tenderloin. Oh, yeah, one of our favourites. And then we have the bowler blade next door. There's a few hidden little secrets. When he walks around like that, okay? And where's your scapula? Point to your scapula. Where's your scapula? Yeah, it is. So this sits right on the scapular bone, doesn't it, Sammy?
Yes, sir.
And Anthony's here. Meat is sweeter next to the bone. Is that right? You bet it is. So we're just going to take it off. Take off the oyster blade here. There is a nice silver skin seam between the oyster blade and the bowler blade. So we'll just take him off. Off he goes.
So it's important for our plate to come to a nice hot temperature. So I've got induction here. Chef loves gas, but this is probably the next best thing when we're on stage. And over to you, bud.
Yeah, there we go. There's the oyster blade coming off. I've got another one that I'm going to use, but there it is. It's simple as that. We all have that at home. We see it in the supermarkets. What's great about the model, Sammy, we know, you and I know, but we better tell everyone, according to Consumer Sensory, this has the same eating quality in the MSA model as...
Strippy?
No, better than that. We're going to go, oh, I'm a Queenslander, we call it a rib fillet, but a cube roll, Scotch fillet if you're from this state, I think, isn't it? Yeah, in Queensland we call it something.
It's a perler. It's
but anyway,
great.
Yeah, so eats the same as cube roll. So that's what we're going to have. Yeah, that's what we're going to have for breakfast.
Quick seasoning here, Kelly. So I've got beef Basturma. So that's top side. It's a Turkish kind of pastrami. What I've done, I've cooked it, and then I've blitzed it, and then I've put ras el hanout in, and I've made a beef seasoning. You see chicken salt. Why can't we have beef salt onto our steaks?
And we've got a secret weapon here in a minute. We'll bring it out in a minute, Sammy. Yeah. So on the back here, ladies and gentlemen, and it's about, who was talking about production? I think Richo even this morning. So I must show you. So it would be remiss of me not to. So here's the bowler, and on the back of it, this is where the scapula came from. This little muscle here is actually called the subscapularis, or what's left of it. So it sits under the scapula. Anyway, see this here? This muscle here. What muscle number is it, Sammy?
Muscle 88.
Oh, he's too good, isn't he? He knows, he remembers them all. So this is the teres major muscle, or the petite tender. You know, I had this in a restaurant the other day, Sammy. Yeah,
fantastic,
beautiful.
mate. Down
beautiful
in Vegas.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, this is in the new model. It's not in the old model. I'm going to take it out for you and you can have a look. Watch out for OH&S. However, consumers in early indications are telling us that it eats like a strip loin or a sirloin steak. It's kind of that eating quality. And it's a very, very tender, given its position on the carcass next to the scapula, it would be sweet. Yeah, it is all of that, isn't it, Sammy? Sadly, we're not going to cook that for you today, but are we harvesting these? Yes, we are. We're harvesting these for export. In fact, Sam and I are finding it quite difficult to get these because they're taken off. They're taking them off. How good is that? So we're taking all these lovely little muscles off.
KP, we've heard of pork bacon. What about brisket bacon? So what we've got is we've got some beautiful Angus that we've smoked the same method, so to speak, and we're going to use that on the side of our flat iron steak with our Basturma salt.
Yeah, let's show you on Sammy.
Grills. Let's crisp that up.
Let's plate a couple up for me.
Yes, chef. Yep. Yes, butcher.
I've got plenty of time. You just plate a couple up and I'll show everyone, and we'll have a little chat about that, where that comes from. Oh, look at that.
The beauty about this, where I see there's a real opportunity in commercial food service, is that the halal market is continually growing both here in the domestic and overseas. And I'm sick to death of seeing that turkey bacon everywhere. Why can't we give this a crack?
Yeah,
Man bacon as well, you know, but yeah.
It doesn't offend anyone, does it? Beef bacon doesn't. Okay, who was at the barbecue thing last night? Yeah. Everyone have brisket? Yeah. Exactly the sense of look familiar? Yeah, it is. So this is the pectoral. So this is this end, the point end. Jess was just talking about it, briskets, and I think she had one last night for us. So there's the two muscles, and one up this end is they're both the pectoral group. So this is the pectoralis profundus muscle. I'm going to hand that around. We should hand that around. You could eat it, but just remember your friends are trying to look at it too. You could eat it, just like that. It's beautiful. We love it, Sammy, don't we?
Yeah, and it's about like, constantly exploring ways that we can value add to the carcass, mate. And, What we're doing is we're working with big commercial catering companies. Now, their big challenges are, we work for the big ones, Sodexo, Spotless, Catercare, Compass. So one alone, if you look at Sodexo that have got the contract for Rio Tinto in the Pilbara and WA, every time we secure something on menu with them, they have guaranteed meal numbers that go through the chase, 1.2 tonne of product.
Wow.
So we don't want to lose that to chicken. We don't want to lose that to any other protein. So if we can take a hit and work with quality MSA graded beef, which you hear Anthony talking about it all the time, and you also hear, Richard was talking about it this morning as well, and we can have a smaller portion and then make it kind of like a vitality bowl with cracked rice puffs, wild rice, a nice sauce, pickled radish, and have them pre-served on the race, because they're big guys like me, big Polynesian guys that work in the mines. They want a kilo every time they eat, So if we do a pre-plated meal, have them on the chase, a bit like you get your pre-made desserts done on a hotel buffet, we can utilise them, we can earn our place on our menu. So we take a bit of a hit on the grammage per portion, but we don't lose it to another protein. And that's what we, and then have a think about the aged care, what we've been doing with those guys, KP. We worked with Estia over in Adelaide. We were there a few weeks ago, big aged care provider. Baby boomers, they're heading into these facilities now, like my mum and dad, and you know what they love? They love their red meat. Food is so important to them because it's one of the delights they get every day. Family, food, and and dignity, right? That's where we can help them. We look at opportunities where we can do slow cooking in these beautiful combi ovens, which they can give them some time back in their day to do HACCP, look after their staff, concentrate on a bit of me time for themselves to relax. And then you come back to that combi oven, you've got a nice gelatinous piece of meat that you can take out, and then you can rest that, and then put that into hot box and serve into your little satellite kitchens. You can't do that with chicken, mate.
No, you cannot.
Right, so it's not always about cost per kilo. It's about smart ways of looking that we can keep our product front and centre on menu. And the efficiency dividend sometimes pays for the per kilo price. Right? Does that make sense?
And it was really interesting the other day. Sammy's kind of almost getting off topic, but I think everyone should know that we were talking to a very large procurement company, a catering company the other day, and he was telling us about roasting meat.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah, tell us that little story.
Well, it was 6 o'clock, and I was in my backyard, and I had my youngest daughter, the 8-year-old's giving me hell at the moment, talking back, but I think we've all been there. And I had the head of procurement on. And it was a massive catering company, the biggest actually. I'm not giving names, but and he's saying to me, "Look, Sammy, we loved what you did in Melbourne, but we want you to make it our business centric. We're using this cut for our roast, and I don't care, I'll say it, topside. And we're having problems with tenderness. You know why? Because they were cooking it, they were resting it in chafing dishes, and then it was really tightening up. And I said, well, wrong cut. We showed you this last year in Melbourne. Why don't you try an MSA graded bowler blade? And he goes, oh, actually, we can get that cheap off our whole cellar. And I go, well, hello. I go, so what do? We put that on our menu when we were doing those training. So it's about educating, you know what I mean? These guys look after hundreds of categories. It's our job as educators to help them navigate around that and have success with our proteins on menu. And that's why we're here for MLA. It's nice to do these things, and I love talking to producers, right? But at the end of the day, you guys pay me to go out there and not sit at North Sydney behind a computer, immerse ourselves in their businesses, learn their challenges, and then come back and find a solution to help them keep our protein on menu. Simple?
Yeah, very simple, Sammy.
And that's where MSA comes in, So, with the consistency, it just works. It's proven, it's tested.
Yeah.
And we can't afford to get it wrong. I can't say that enough. Because if we get it wrong, they'll put something else on the menu, right? And the beautiful thing is we've got wonderful Angus too. Yeah, I heard Marcel, I've worked with him so many times out at Costco, and that's a fantastic product that NH do. And all of our producers, right? Let's not just think about one, grass and grain, right? It's an acquired taste. Yes, you can get consistency in grain-fed meat, but you get that beautiful buttery tasting grass. So it's a bit about what do you like, red or white wine? You know, there's changes, you know. So over to you, mate.
Yeah, here we go. And this will be one of Anthony's favourites as well. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are. So this was the oyster blade, or is the oyster blade, or the infraspinatus, the 36 muscle. And then, so if we just, there's the big bit of gristle in the middle. We might remove that in a minute. We've got some time. And so here we have, if you've ever seen wondered what that is, that's a flat iron steak. There you are. That's what we're going to have for breakfast, Sammy, aren't we? So the eating quality, so remember, so all the consumer sensory, I guess we need to give you a little bit of an explanation that the consumer sensory around MSA is done with all of this removed, okay? So it had a little bone tissue on it, the fat and the silver skin and everything's removed. So you get these little 20 by 20 cubes. In fact, I did it the other day for the first time in my life. I've talked about it a long time, but I did it. Sat down in my little booth and had my little cubes of meat. And that's how it's done. Tenderness, juiciness, flavour and overall liking, over 800,000 times, and away we go. So,
What the hell was that?
What was that?
So it's important, guys, as always, you've heard it a million times, but I can't stress it enough. When you cook your meat, it's important to take it off and rest it for half the amount of cooking time. So, you know, a lot of times when I was younger, I loved my steak, and what had happened, I couldn't wait to eat it, mate. I'd just take it back to the table and smash it straight away, and all the juices would run through my salad, and it looked like a massacre on the plate. We need to make sure that we rest it, and those juices redistribute to each side of, how's the camera? Those juices redistribute to each side of that steak, and they relax, and that provides a good eating system. For medium rare, I take it to about 58 degrees because it keeps on cooking when I'm resting and raises about 5. So that's probably ready to take it off now. Now, yes, I can do the old Feely test, and I know, but the reason I'm showing this is what I want to show you is what we teach our consumers, you know. If you got the pros like our mate Grant, who was over there at the barbecue
last night,
third place on the barbecue test, he's got all these probes in and he's a meat master.
Yep.
Why can't we get the consumer to do it?
Absolutely.
You can't afford to stuff it up, right? So if you've got a bit of technology there that helps you get it right every time and smiles on your family or your friend's face, well then, you know, don't try to be a hero, use it. Okay? Simple as that.
Absolutely.
Have we got any questions out there?
Yeah, while we're beavering away.
Yeah. Sorry. I can't hear
Oh, there we
this.
go. Oh, the question was, Sammy, do Angus Australia sell meat probes? They need to. There you go.
Fantastic.
It's now on the merchandise
You work
list.
for the marketing
As of
team,
today.
you've now got a job. Next question. Is anyone else? Crickets, Kelly?
Crickets.
Yeah,
That's right, they're all waiting. They're all waiting.
That's good. Yeah. All right, we'll take that out. We'll rest that. Yeah, Kelly, have a talk about that. You've been speaking that for ages.
I don't know how, it'd be a great question for Anthony, but there are some varieties of the beef bacon around, I guess. I'll tell you the story. We've got a couple of minutes really quickly. So I used to do, used to go on the road with the beef up forums across Northern Australia. I don't know if you had them down here. And we used to do I did a bit of a party trick where we have 2 oyster blades and roll them together. And then I'd put bacon around it. And of course, I was using it from the other species group, was just not cool. And so I said to some friends where I used to work in a butcher shop, and I said, I need some beef bacon. So away we went and we mucked around and we got the beef brisket bacon. So the party trick was that we had this rolled together with the sinew taken out and then with some beef bacon around it. So it was an all beef mignon, but from oyster blade. So that's how it all began. But we give it a run everywhere, Sammy, don't we? And everyone loves it. But I guess we just got to get a larger manufacturing scale.
I can give a little bit of a preview on that. We are talking to a major QSR at the moment on seeing if we can get it included on menu. So watch this space, but I don't want to spruik it until it hits, you know. So supply's always away, and you know, we just got to. If we keep on promoting it, someone's going to pick it up soon. It's only a matter of time. So I've waxed some heirloom tomatoes in there. I've just put a bit of olive oil. I'm letting that bacon crisp up. I've got some beautiful poached egg. Who said you can't have vegetarian kale with Australian beef? I'm going to dispel that myth. We're going to whack some kale on our breakfast here. We've got our Basturma salt. I've got some spinach. I'm going to whack that in my grill. and soak up that beautiful taste of that beef bacon into the spinach. We're going to wilt that. And you want to put a bit of spinach in because it reduces quite a lot. And I've got my watercress, so it's just bringing it all together now. We've got our beef resting. Mate, we're in a good place.
Beautiful, Sammy. We are.
So poached eggs, I did these before. I'm not here to teach you how to poach eggs. I'm here to teach you how to cook Australian beef and have a bit of a talk, but I've just poached them. I think that's a nice addition. And we'll get our crispy kale. So what we've done, we've flash fried that in a wok, KP. And we'll put that at the bottom. Who said you can't have kale with beef?
Who said?
Hey, take that, vegans, so.
We're trendy.
So we'll put that around there. We're going to put our fresh spinach on top of that. So it's really the dish construction now.
So all I'm doing
and what
here,
I'm doing, mate, because I've had that bacon in that pan,
I can smell it. I can
that
smell it from
flavour
here.
is going into my spinach now. And I'll put a bit more of my beef salt on top, Basturma salt.
I can smell it from here, Sammy.
Got my tomatoes. I'm getting that bacon really crispy because I like my bacon crispy. Those tomatoes are wilted enough. That spinach is wilted enough. Running out of space. Like that there.
So what I've got here, Sammy, just while you're quickly doing that, ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to demonstrate really quickly. I'm just about done here. So Sammy goes to the gym. So if I said to Sammy, is he going to do a work on his triceps today? Sammy's, look at him, look at the size of him.
I go to the gym,
He'd know where his triceps were, right? So this is the triceps group. So in consumer sensory testing, we've actually eaten all 4 of these. So these are the 3 triceps muscles. This is the, I think it goes triceps brachii, I could put lateralis, medialis and longum. So we've eaten those in the new model, Sammy, pretty excited about that. This is the latissimus dorsi muscle, which also sits in here. So in the new model, we will have eating quality outcomes for all of these. How good's that?
So this beef, we've rested it now for a good 3 to 4 minutes. Look at that, fantastic. Cut it up nice and thin. Look at that.
Oh, stop it.
Butter.
Tell
you what, we're so lucky to represent these wonderful producers, right? They do the hard work, and often they don't know what happens when the food leaves their farms. So it's nice to be able to come back and just, give them a bit of love that they need and show what we're out there doing, with restaurants and key chefs and airlines and all sorts of wonderful people. And, I'm a big advocate at home, mate. I bought one of those big parillas.
You
I
did?
was just doing some steak with the kids over the weekend, and I was eating the rump, and I gave them the tomahawk.
Oh.
Why? Because it was good MSA product. I knew it was going to work, and you know what I mean? You don't always have to have the primal cuts, mate, Be adventurous. It's beautiful beef bacon. Crispy. And I'm not sticking eggs on top of that because beef is the hero. Maybe on the side.
Small beef bacon.
And our Chimmi Churri that I made before. Chimmi Churri, Argentinian sauce, coriander, parsley, lemon juice, olive oil, chili, red wine vinegar. Make it on the day, don't make it the night before. But you can cut the herbs up the day before, that's easy. Over the top of our eggs.
So in the model, Sammy, we're looking at we could call that the 4-star breakfast.
Can I say something? Take that, pork. All right.
The 4-star breakfast.
The 4-star breakfast. Here we go. There's your
All
brunch
beef.
in the eastern suburbs, in the cafes in Albury. We'll take you on time and time again, and we will convert you one person at a time to show that Australian Angus beef, the greatest. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys are legends. Yeah. Thank you. Now, just another thing, I'm going to give Anthony a bit of a spruik here because I sit in Sydney traffic a hell of a lot of times, Kelly, right? And I'm sick and tired of listening to music and commercial radio. So I've got my data, and I get on the Meat Ultimate podcast. You need to check it out. It's a great session.
Yep.
You know, and it's so captivating. They talk about all things, the supply chain. They talk to leading chefs. They talk to people at MLA and the MDC, Michael Lee, my boss Lisa Sharp, a variety of people throughout the whole supply chain, and it's so captivating. So get on that, check it out, Meet the Ultimate Podcast. Mate, I'll give him a spruik because I love it, you know.
Yeah,
it's
good.
fantastic.
That's good.
Yeah, and so look, what else have we been up to, KP? We've been working with, got 100% airline coverage with Donata, who just bought Gate Qantas Catering out in November. So we've been nationally doing some work with all their chefs. What have we been doing there, KP?
I think we're talking to the other airline caterer who's got some product in the air for us too, haven't they?
Gate Gourmet, but that's a lamb story, mate. We're here to talk to beef, but we're working with Gate Gourmet, so we've got 100% coverage influencing airlines of what goes on the menu from Australia, both domestic and abroad. So MLA got 100% coverage there. We've got the caterers, we've got Compass, Sodexo, Spotless, Cater Care, we're all doing activations with them. We've got Aged Care, we've got Opal and Estia, we're working with those guys.
Yeah.
We're doing some work with the big QSR chains. We're in the hotels, we're working in the pubs, Spirit, and hopefully down the track, some other big customers. You know, so we're touching all those points, end users of Australian quality beef, like your product, Coffee Club, you know, and making sure that they have success with it on the menu. And, you know, we get measures so we can let the producers know. There's always got to be an output for the outcome. Otherwise, we just don't have time to, you know, it's nice to do things all the time, but the limited resources we got, we need to get output for the outcome. Have I chewed up too much time?
We're bang on. Look at that.
Any questions? Yeah, why not? Pass it around, but don't adulterate it.
Sammy and Kelly, Anthony here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Where is he?
I'm down the back.
keep it simple. Keep it simple.
No, good. I just wanted to say that both of you did an amazing job. A real credit to you. Very informative, very entertaining. You should have your own show. Professor Antonio Mata from the University of Nebraska. He was the guy that discovered the flat iron steak. Literally, I think this would surprise a lot of people. It was literally less than a dozen years ago that he discovered that fantastic piece of meat that you guys have done a fantastic job of preparing and cooking. Promise I won't tell anyone. But what's the next flat iron? What are you guys working on? Which cut do you believe is the next flat iron?
Good question, Anthony.
Yeah.
Mate, you go.
Well, I'll get a bit of the complex muscle stuff out of the way, Sammy, and then you can. So what we have done in this current model, Anthony, a really good question. I can't reveal anything yet because I haven't even seen it, but and that's the truth. That's the honest truth. But so we all know the chuck, right? So ribs 1 to 4, right? So if you think, rib 1 to 4, the Scotch fillet muscle runs out at rib 3, right? So it runs all the way down here. The longissimus dorsi stops at rib 3. It picks up, Anthony didn't know this one, it picks up another big flat muscle called the semi-spinalis. So the spinalis is our favourite. It's the nice, really soft one that sits over the Scotch fillet, right? You know that one? Yeah. Lucky consumers don't know it's there, or that's all they'd want, right? It's actually so much better than the big muscle in the rib. Anyway, there's a big flat muscle, and it runs all the way from. It starts at rib 5 and runs all the way down to the neck. So consumers have eaten it. So if we're and it's not new, and Anthony would know as well. There's a really big muscle that sits on the rib plate. Beyond. So if you imagined, I'm sorry, I'm babbling. I'll start again. So you imagine the rib fillet runs all the way up, right? And then the muscle that sits over the top of all of those is one called the serratus ventralis. The Americans call it the Denver, right? And it's a big chunk of meat. So I'm thinking, if we harvest the Denver out of chucks, then guess what's left over? this big, flat, semi-spinalis. Anyway, we'll see how it looks in consumer testing. Can you grill it? Not really. Can we put it through a combi? Well, I haven't seen all that work, or sous vide, but there's a couple of newies that we're pretty good. I mean, the Denver's good, right, Anthony? It's done really, really well. It's going really well. So there's some chuck mussels.
Another thing too that we've been, to help answer Anthony's question, we've been talking a lot to food services about the rump. So rather than just having the D-rump, taking the cap off, and then having the roast beef and the eye side and the eye centre and the pillow steak underneath, and then reverse searing that in a combi oven at a low temperature. So what that means is cooking it at a real low temperature to 58, and then regenerating that over a hot pan. So almost like a dry sous vide, if you like. And we're having some wonderful, you can't call it tenderloin, it isn't, but medallion steaks for pubs as well. I reckon there's a real opportunity there, Anthony, to crack that market for a nice medallion steak. You know Dougie too, our corporate butcher, Anthony. He's been working on a strip loin and then cutting it right in half and then denuding that out like a medallion, and then the other half of it with some meat bonding glue, taking that fat over the top and having a little kind of medallion with a cap of fat around it too.
Yeah.
So for pubs, so you get the thick cut of steak on a bigger primal rather than having a thin whole strip loin. You can have a half thicker one and still get your 150, 200 grammers on a bigger primal, and be a nice medallion steak for my wife, who is a beautiful Australian, Syrian-born, Syrian background girl, and she loves her red meat, but she can't have a 300-gram steak.
Yeah.
Right? So a nice 150, 200, it's got some thickness, and then holds a beautiful consistency of pinkiness when you take it medium rare, rather than having a large primal and a thinner steak. That's a cracker for her. I tried that at home, and being the father of 3 beautiful daughters, you've got to keep them happy, and I don't want them eating anything else but red meat.
Yeah, and Anthony mentioned it before, right, Sammy? So it's tough out there, and protein's expensive. But so rather than the chef saying, we're going to walk away from strip loin and cube roll and tenderloins, you know what? A reverse seared rump, good portion, brings the cost right down.
Look at that, resting.
The caps are, there we go. And the caps are beautiful. We're looking at a, actually I had a bit of a, someone's probably already thought of it, but one that I really like the sound of, Sammy, is a big square piece of rump cap, because the portions are awful. It's a terrible size, but it's one of the best eating quality mussels in the group. In fact, consumers, Sammy, we remind everyone that the rump cap eats 8% better than the rest of the rump, according to consumers. That's a big gap. So we can use it on its own as well. What are you up to there, bro? What do you got going now?
I'm just going to do another one, mate. Try and make it a bit better.
I'm trying to trip over that thing.
Yeah.
Doing my
So
best.
is there any other? Thanks, Anthony. Good man. And keep up the good work and inspiration to us all in Sydney and Australia. Anyone else would like to? Yes, sir.
I regularly find in supermarkets 2 steaks in a pack with MSA graded printed on it, and one steak will be 0 marbling and the other will be 2 or 3 marbling. Why would they be doing that under an MSA graded stamp?
Yeah, so
Kelly, that's
so
one for you, buddy.
yeah. So that's a complex answer. So at the end of the day, I guess, well, it is. So at the end of the day, the model does its magic. So it has the algorithm and every animal. So we grade the carcasses, as you know, and then all of that data gets put into the model, and it spits out an eating quality for every subprimal muscle in that beef carcass. So rest assured of that, and I have to keep reminding people about that's its job. So it identifies individual eating, so it gives you an index score, but at this end, at our end, it gives us individual subprimal muscle eating quality for that. Now, when you're talking about processing, and we have no power over processing, then they will make decisions about which animals they will put in that group, and it's called a PBR. It's kind of actually we could nearly break into another session here, Sammy. So it's called a plant boning run. So what they're doing is depending on the specifications of their customer for that brand, then if there is no requirement for marbling for that particular brand, if it has a low marble score for that particular. In fact, one of the earlier speakers, sorry, I had a little moment there. One of the earlier speakers, it was Marcel, right? What did he say? Everyone in the room here is different. Didn't he say that? Who was there for that session? I was. So all animals are different. So if you have neighbours that are hanging in the chiller, and one's got no marbling and one's got marbling, if they are destined for the same market and they both fit those specifications, boom, boom, they go in the same box.
Kelly, we've got the wind up, mate.
Oh, we've got the wind up.
How did they eat, buddy?
We just might go one more question if we've got any. The guys have got to wrap up. I'm hoping to get my share of what's on that plate as my chair duties. But if we do have one more question, no?
We'll talk to you after in the break,
Yeah,
sir.
so both the guys will be tonight here at the dinner, so you'll certainly get the opportunity to catch up with them then and further discuss what you can do with all the different cuts. So thank you very much, everybody, for coming to the session tonight, or today. We'd certainly like to thank Zoetis again as the session sponsor, as well as acknowledging AgriWeb, who is our sponsor for afternoon tea this afternoon, which will be back over in the convention wing from now onwards. But no doubt if I throw a few seagulls hover around up here, there might even be the opportunity to taste a bit of what's going on. So thank you, everybody, and please join me in thanking all of the speakers this afternoon, particularly the guys up here now.
And just the last thing, thanks for giving us the opportunity to represent all you wonderful producers. We're very humble about what we do. We don't try to be cocky. I was very nervous at the back there. You guys are my biggest judges. You know, I'm more nervous cooking in front of producers than I am chefs. Not a word of a lie. Why? Because I take our job very seriously and I want to make sure that everything we do, we're doing it for the better of the Australian producer. Thanks for your time.